Welcome back to the Wolf of Queen Street podcast series, audio series or video series you join us today. But before we get started, just want to shout out to my sponsors, the Six Figure Secrets, a team of guys and girls that help businesses take their business up the next level to the six figures and further. If you need help in social media, building a brand, or just running Facebook ads, this company can help you. And you can find them at sixfiguresecrets.co. But interesting today, I'm joined by Kristin Harper. So a lot of people that are following the show would not know that Kristin Harper was my first ever guest almost 18 months ago on the Wolf of Queen Street. We sat in an office with a small old mic, sat there for about, I think, an hour and a half and just spoke the shit. I don't know if he's realized it, but today is the 50th episode of the brand. And it is actually, to me, a great pleasure to get him back on the show for the 50th episode, seeing that he was there in the beginning, and to have a discussion about what he's focusing on at the end of 2020 and leading into 2021 with some big changes. Kristin Harper, welcome to the show.
So Lawrence Lotze, thank you very much, mate. And awesome to see how far you've come. You know, from that very first discussion about the Wolf of Queen Street podcast to see where you've gone now and how you've done is really cool. So a big shout out to you, bro. And I'm really proud of you for getting to where you've got to, because you've actually had some pretty amazing speakers on. So they've all gone up since that first one with me.
Sorry to interrupt the current show, but just to let you know, if you're enjoying what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button. So next time another episode comes out, you'll be able to see it first. Back to the show. Yeah, so it's pretty much a bouncing board from yourself, mate. You started it all, and we pretty much bouncing board everyone else that's come on the show since then. You know, but one thing I wanted to talk to you today at the moment has been, obviously, as we're coming through the time of where we are in the world at the moment, there's new focus, there's new leading into stuff for businesses and themselves and brands, especially in New Zealand, where we've got to think a little bit outside the box. Something that's always been close to your heart is value of what you offer, value of what you do, and value what you can provide to others. You know, I'd love to know what your thoughts are at the moment going into the end part of 2020 and the impact New Zealand businesses and mentors and coaches have out there around value.
Yep. So I guess from a business point of view, for those of you that don't know, I've been in sales for about 15 years, and one of the businesses I've created is Harper Consultancy, which is where I help businesses transform the way that they sell. And I've always led with value, and especially coming out of COVID-19, you know, I think as a business, you really need to, there really needs to be a lot of value, because in the absence of value for any business, people will always argue price. And, you know, with the businesses that I'm working with now, you know, if you lead with value, then the money in that side will come along with it. And as we spoke about earlier, you know, when we, one of the co-founders of the Nesian Network, which is a network to assist and help Māori and Pasifika in their businesses. And the very first conversation we had is that we start this network with value. We made sure that all the other founders were leading with value, because we know that those opportunities will come, and we're about 3 months into it and we're getting a lot of opportunities. So I think value is super important.
So what is something simple that if anyone's listening or watching at the moment and says, okay, I've got a brand, or I've got a business, and I want to try and take that next step of actually offering value off the bat. What is simple tips and tricks that you would follow to go to a company and provide that value on the first step, to try to get yourself in the door without going, hey, I want your business, but pretty much you going, I'm going to give you value, and then if you want my business, you can come back to me.
Okay, look, I'll give you an example, Lawrence. So I've been working with a corporate until recently, and I've had a sales team of about 30 around the country. And probably one of the biggest things that I've seen is that being that it's such a competitive industry, probably about 90% of the sales reps are saying the same shit, taking the same approach. And when everybody takes the same approach, then you are perceived to be exactly like everybody else. Yep. So, for example, any relationship that I start with any of my clients, you know, that value comes from that first discussion. It actually, you know, value comes from asking a lot of questions, actually giving a shit about your client or your prospect's business, and actually, really listening. And then from there, as you're selling yourself and your offering,
Yep.
is really building value into your offering. And that may look like, for my clients from a Harper Consultancy point of view, I'm always looking at ways of, what can I do better? How can I help them more? The value comes from, I actually really give a shit about your business.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to help you. And not only will I do these things here, but I'll do these things here as well. So it's going to look different from every business and every offering, but the more that you can offer your clients that they're not having to pay for, whether that be, 3-month account management, whether it be whatever it could be giving them some, free subscription, whatever your business has.
Yep.
It's just thinking outside the square and actually offering a lot more than they expect.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, totally. There's places and there's industries at the moment, unfortunately, because, like you said, people have followed the box or in the square the whole time. When one of those people approach a company or brand, they go, oh, it's going to be exactly the same as everything I've seen before. And it's just, like you said, if you step a little bit outside the box or offer something they're not thinking, that's the value. And that's the value that they're going to remember you by and go forward from there with the business. But I think another thing that offers a greatness around the business when you approach them is the access that you have within yourself on your networks, the people that you can reach out to and tap on the shoulder and go, hey, company, this is me, but I come with all these networks and all these contacts in these different industries, literally like the Shark Tank. I've got this network behind me. I'm guessing there's a big value on the power of the network that you bring into a business. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll look at two parts to this because I've just had some conversations this morning. So as I mentioned, I'm about to head up a software company here in New Zealand. And what they've got is I've got the channel partner area, and then they've also got the direct sales. So I'm going to look at growing both of them. And the way I've been looking at, especially with the channel partners, is generally within software, a channel partner will come along and say, hey, we're doing some specials, we're doing these things around our offering and we can help you with this. I'm going to go quite a few steps further, is whatever partners that I'm working with, I'm actually going to help them with the sales. So I'm actually going to help create some either campaigns and that with them, and then I'm going to actually coach them to actually be more successful and coach them to sell more, because if they can obviously sell more of our product, then we're all going to be a winner. So I know my value compared to a lot of other people in the market. I'll be very driven to actually help them out, because the more they're winning, the more that we're going to be winning. So that's one approach. And then the other step of it is, some of the networks that I'm working with. So as I mentioned earlier, with the Nesian Network, with the software role that I'm going into, there are some iwi and some other, and for anybody that's outside New Zealand, iwi is the tribes, the Māori tribes in New Zealand. And they're very big organizations here, and they're very hard to get into. So I can leverage what I'm doing from a software point of view, but also the Nesian Network and what we're growing, because it's sort of like a win-win. So again, it's just thinking outside the square a wee bit and just thinking, how can this impact in this way, but also what can we bring in here to impact other areas of the business? And I know why I'm doing this, because I'm just popping my hands in.
I mean, I totally agree with that, Chris. And, there's a lot of times people are more successful, not because of just them as an individual, but them and everything else that comes behind them. And as you said, taking the skills in two different business industries where you're working at the moment, the Nesian Network, the software company that you work in at the moment, and utilizing both from one side to the other side of the networking space you have, the skills you have, and the people that sit behind that.
Well, it's actually networking the three of them. It's actually leveraging the three of them. So the Harper, the Nesian, and then
the software company. And that's something that people need to remember, especially in the times of today, going, hey, I've got a brand that's struggling, I've got a business that's struggling. How do I cater? How do I grow? How do I get new business in? And it's finding one person or a few people, guys or girls, that actually behind them come with 20 people, or behind them come with 50 people. Because by bringing that person in and looking through your business, all of a sudden opens so much doors.
Actually, funny you say that, is I guess bringing on new business, and it's about taking a step back to move forward. And the biggest learning I've had, going through COVID and after COVID, and even my recent corporate role, is I've taking my time these days. I'm being a lot more mindful and not going, I need to get that business.
Yep.
Because when you're in that stress or needing to make stuff happen, it's generally when you repel it. So the more you can take your time and be more deliberate around who you are wanting to work with, the easier it's going to be. It's quite counterintuitive, but it's just sort of how it works.
Yep. I totally agree with that. There's definitely a different consideration on how things work today and in our world. And I like that whole thing of you having to think one step back to move forward, because moving forward naturally or normally in that sense doesn't actually work anymore, or doesn't work as effective. So we have to take a look around. And another thing is, as you said, building with the networks and having those relationships, it obviously comes in as yourself, and you're very big in this space, is building partnerships with building partnerships with companies, brands, individuals, and so forth. So not just networking, but actually have business relationships and partnerships, so that you both are trying to help each other.
Yeah. So mutually beneficial. Mutually beneficial partnerships.
There we go. There's the word I'm looking for. But yes.
So this year, like when I've had some businesses in the past, I've always tried to do everything myself. And even when we first started talking, I really tried to do everything myself. And I think one thing I've learned is that I'm really good at the shit I do, but everything else, whether it be accounting, whether it be the marketing, I'm good at, but there's so many other areas where I need help. And what I've done over the last wee while, and especially through the Nesian Network and the other founders, is that they've got expertise. One is in money, one is in media, one is in marketing. And what we've been doing, Lawrence, is we've been helping each other out, not only on the Nesian Network, but our own businesses, because we've got our skills have been really complementary around that. And even coming into the new business that I'm working with now, for me, I need to be sticking that into my lane and actually doing everything that I'm good at, just so I can focus on creating more of that. And then just getting the people in around me, the partners in when I need help, whether it be a discussion, whether it be getting them involved in a meeting, whether it be, them helping me out, because we don't need to be doing this, doing everything ourselves. And I think as an entrepreneur, I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that they need to be doing everything themselves. So I think it's super important to get partners. And there's a lot of other people that are out there that are in the same position that, even with my partners, it's a win-win-win-win. So I think the more you can sort of get out there and, open up and look for other partners, you've got those referrals that you can get from those partners as well. So
I totally agree with that. I mean, I know both of us, we sat on episode 1 and we both sat there going, yep, we know what we're doing. We're going to do it. We're going to smash it. And I think we both went this through. I know I went through it, and you just said as well that over a period of time, you go, I can't do all of it. I don't have all those skills. And I've said on the show plenty of times, there's certain things that are required as part of podcasting or social media brand and so forth, I suck at. Marketing is one of them. Building great imagery and that stuff is another one. And building up partnerships has allowed myself in my own business and in this line to be able to take it to the next step. And anyone that has followed the brand from day one will notice there's a pivot of quality and content and what is coming out. And there's a change of direction. And that's been because I've gone to partnerships and I've helped them, and they've turned around and helped me. And I'm a sort of a guy that I want you to tell me honestly. And in that partnership, they turn around and go, hey, hold on. This isn't as aligned as it should be. This isn't as good as it should be. This needs to change. So they pull off the Band-Aid straight away and go, let's be honest and let's pivot. And that's what I've sort of been able to do in the last 30 to 60 days around my business. And it has taken it so much further forward just in 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
And that's why if you can build a partnership in the beginning of your business or your brand, you'll be 6 steps ahead of anyone else that waits to the 6-month mark or the 9th-month mark, realizing that, hold on, I don't have all those skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is, and especially coming out of COVID, it's just don't be scared to ask for help. Don't be scared to put it out there, because there's so many other people that are in exactly the same position. And I think people, and again, it's probably again when I came out of one of my first businesses, I just felt stink about it. I felt stink to bloody ask anybody, to tell anybody where I was at. Whereas these days, I just don't care, because I know I'm going to be more successful when I'm reaching out there and actually putting myself out there.
I think the biggest learning is that through any situation, career path, or journey that any guy or girl takes on their over their 30 or 40 years, there's a lot of stumbling blocks. Most times there's a lot more stumbling blocks in successful blocks. But if we look back at all the people that have gotten into the top, it's those guys and girls that have turned around and said, okay, yes, I've learned from that, and I'll be open about that situation, and then continued and moved forward. And this is where, into the next level, to take yourself further, is into mentors come in. So we spoke a few minutes ago, you talk about your networks, so people that that you can reach out to.
Yeah.
Then we spoke about partnerships, so the people that have beneficial relationships that help each brand build. But then you've got the person that you'd call your mentor. So you've got a person that's above you on the ladder that you want to reach out to, that motivates you, and they know a little bit more than you, and they pass that down. And mentors are massive at the moment.
Yeah. So I, post-COVID or between COVID, I actually got two. So I think probably like most or some people coming out of COVID, there was a lot of shit that came up for me. And a lot of stuff that had come up that I didn't sort of expect to come up, because we're going through these different emotions and all that. So I reached out to somebody that I've been following for a long time, and who's a coach for men, mental health and that. And I've been doing a bit of work with Greg Gillies for the last month and a half, and it has been life-changing. It really has been life-changing from where my head is at, where my heart is at, and my career. And since I started working with him, it's like the haze is gone, and my focus right now is crazy. And then the other one is Glenn Morrison, who's my mentor for Harper Consultancy for my business.
Yep.
Because Glenn is somebody I've looked up to when I first started out in sales, and who's just a master in sales. So we've been catching up nearly every week and working on the plan, and it's great to have somebody looking, because I look at things like this.
Yep.
What he'll do is go grab that, and then sort of piece that all together. And I guess it's not so much about motivation. I think it's more about accountability.
Correct.
It's that, you said you're going to have this shit done by then, get it done. So I think mentors is super, super important. I think it's really important to invest in yourself, invest in mentors, because it's just going to save you so much in the long term.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. To anyone at the moment, some people think of a mentor as, hey, I want to go to the best person in the business and I want them to mentor me down. That is not going to be effective for both people, because firstly, if we use the example, if I went to Gary Vee and said, Gary Vee, I want you to make me one of the best influencers in the world. Firstly, I'm too small of a fish for him to pay attention to, and there's too many levels between us. What people need to remember about mentors is, I'm at a certain level. You want to find a mentor that's at sort of 3 to 4 steps above you, that they can teach you the difference, or that missing delta, so you can get up to their level. Yeah. And then what happens is, then you find the next mentor that is higher up on that, and you're still building up. And that's where a lot of people miss that. They go, okay, I want to find one person for the next 10 years, and they're going to mentor me for 10 years. That is the wrong approach, because if you take a mentor and you're still with them in 10 years' time, you've either not grown enough underneath them, or they have, it just hasn't worked. You should
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
A handful of years, the right mentor. I
agree. You've got to, I think you've got to be very deliberate around who you work with, but also where you think you need the help.
Yeah.
So I'm very clear on where I know I've needed the help. And, like I know about a year or 2 years down the track, I may need another mentor to help me take the business worldwide.
Yep.
Oh, fuck it. Actually, it's going to be worldwide in the next year.
No, that's
not next 5 years.
Yeah, that's great. And, and it's definitely, I know that you have that insight and that understanding. It's just, for our listeners out there to make sure when they reach out and go, I want to reach out to a mentor, find someone that's just above you, a couple of steps ahead of you, that's 12 months or 2 years ahead of you. The biggest saying is always, and I think it was Robert Kiyosaki, one of that said is, why start a business and then run it for 5 years and then ask for help? Why not start a business and ask the guy that's in 5 years ahead of you and go, hey, what would you do now if from those 5 years? And that's the same thing I've learned about podcasting. And the people that I help is I show, hey, here's everything I made a mistake of in the first 6 months. Don't do that.
Yeah. Mate, if they don't challenge you and if they don't piss you off, then don't work with them.
Yeah.
They've got to be, a mentor isn't there to help you to say, hey, you're doing really well. They're there to challenge you. They're there to keep you be accountable. So don't just get somebody you like as well. You've got to, and the thing is, take your time with it.
Yeah, totally. It's because it's one of the most key parts to any business or any brand is the actual mentor in the single or multiple mentors that you have. There are no friends that have had 3 or 4 different mentors at one stage, because one will help them around the finances, one around the branding, one will help them about the growth and so forth, because everyone specializes. But yes, as you said, take your time in to find the right person for your team, and then make sure you're getting the benefits out of it both ways, because they drive you.
And there's a third one as well. Like, so part of, with the business at this time around, one of my biggest challenges has been my relationship with money. So that's another thing that I've been dealing with. And I've got one of my co-founders from Nesian Network is now my accountant, and she's done more for me in the last 3 months than my last one did in the last 2 years. So, and that's been a really big one for me as well. So.
No, that's amazing. And that's what we said. You've got the right person. It'll be effective of what you're trying to achieve. So coming through all these movements and all these things and understanding of what you should have around yourself, the biggest thing that we've seen still as a problem now at the moment is businesses and brands trying to build up or get back the momentum they had 6 months ago, and try to get up to actually just to normal or the new normal level, and then be able to keep that momentum to go up 10%, 15% over the next 6 to 12 months. What's your thoughts on this?
Look, the momentum we had previous is not what we're going to have in that next step. With COVID-19, business has changed.
Correct. So
people have got to, I think, to drive more momentum, you've got to not look at it to what I did last 6 months or the last year or whatever. You've got to I believe you've got to create a new game, and you've got to drive it from there. So, my next 6 months of the year and what I've been doing over the last 3 months and through COVID has actually been planning for the next wee while. So the industry that I'm getting into now around the software side of it, this is the best time for it because it's all process automation software. A lot of businesses are going to be looking at how they can, digitize a lot of their internal processes. So I know what we're doing within this space is the timing is right now, but I'm going to look at doing a lot of different content pieces around what we're doing. And I know there's not a lot of people in the market doing it and doing it the way I'm going to do it.
Yep.
So I think you've got to look at it to drive it differently from what you would have done in the past. I think there's going to be a shitload of opportunities moving forward. You've just got to get creative with it, and bring in and it's got to again, I don't want to harp on about it, but you've got to be value driven.
Yeah,
you really have to be value driven. More so coming out of COVID, and I've spoken at a few places recently, and they were talking about do we sell post COVID? Do we sell in COVID and post COVID? Absolutely, you do. Not during COVID, but post COVID, you've just got to show a lot more empathy.
Yeah,
you've really got to ask the questions and really understand the people that you're dealing with, because everybody's gone through different shit. Everybody's still going through stuff. People are losing their businesses, and the more you can understand that, the more value you can bring in to drive them to actually help drive their business. But momentum is all around, for me anyway, is around getting all those key things in place and then executing it, starting it, driving it. Momentum comes from action. You know this, man. You just got to get out there. You just got to keep trying things out, not giving up. Because the next 6 months or year, it's going to be tough. But I think you've just got to drive that momentum.
No, I love that. And yeah, it's definitely something once everything else is put into place to consider and keep I said, get yourself shifting slowly and then finding out, okay, this is the momentum that's working. Keep at that and then push the next level, because yes, it's a hard time. There's no doubt about it. It's a hard time for anyone at the moment coming up for the next 6 or 12 months. But if you just do a little bit and being effective at what you're trying to do and take it back to, like you said, each time, taking it back to the value, because it's the people that's offering the value or that want to provide value that's going to be tapped first on the shoulder for when a business has got money to spend, or business is looking for a consultant, or business is looking to improve their workforce. It's the person in the very beginning that came in with the value that they're going to go back to.
Yeah. And like even Greg Gillies, one of my mentors I'm working with, I've been following for the last year. That's taken me a long time, but the very first time he connected we connected, he'd sent me a video and just acknowledged, thank you for connecting up, we'll speak again soon. But a lot of his content was value driven, and that's why, although I've seen others online, I really like the stuff, and the work that I'm doing with them, I'm just getting massive value.
Yeah, I love that, and Kristin, thanks so much. Before we got a handful of minutes before the end of the show, I wanted to spend some time around, and you've mentioned a little bit in the beginning, the Nesian Network. But I think this is something great and empowering what you're doing around the network and part of it. I'd like to spend the next couple of minutes for you just to let our listeners know fundamentally what it is, what you guys are trying to achieve, and how you're changing lives through this network.
Yep, cool. So the Nesian Network is a network that was set up specifically for Māori and Pasifika, because we felt that, although there's a lot of networks around the country, we just felt that Māori and Pasifika don't really like to put their heads up too much. They don't really get out there and sort of, I'm not saying everybody doesn't get out there and drive opportunity, but we set up for three reasons. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm in my hands today. So we set up for three reasons. Number one is to connect and collaborate with Māori and Pasifika in business. And when I say connect and collaborate, I mean really, hey, Lawrence, I see that you do this. You need to be speaking to so-and-so over there. Then we connect you up, really drive those opportunities. So when we do have our sessions, we'll really deliberate around who we set up. And we, every session that we have breakout rooms for 5 minutes. Everybody does their 1 minute sort of pitch, just so people get to know who's in the room and what they're doing and why they're there. The second is to create new business opportunities. Through that networking and that connection is, actually create real opportunities. And since we started 3 months ago, we've got about $250,000 of opportunities on the go at the moment. So $250,000 of opportunities that are being discussed, proposals that are being created. And the third one, mate, is celebrating success. Kiwis, and you probably know this being a South African, Kiwis don't, you've heard that tall poppy syndrome. We don't sort of celebrate success. And even when I did really well in sales and I became a top rep, and when I first started, my LinkedIn journey, I didn't want to put myself out there. I was too scared. I was just too scared to pop my head up. But these days, I'm like, fuck that shit. No way. You know what? I think we need to celebrate that, because the more, there's some Māori and Pasifika that are doing some amazing things. And the more that we can share that and share those stories, it sort of brings everybody up. So we really want to have a platform where people can come along and they can meet some people that have done amazing things, but they can learn from them. And, those sessions that we're having, we're trying to do it. We're trying to always step our game up as well, take the best of all the networks that are around the country and try and do it better than everybody. We're aiming to be the best network in New Zealand. Regardless of whether it's Māori or Pasifika.
That's awesome, and I've been watching what you guys are doing, the shows. So you've been doing mostly virtual events, obviously due to COVID. Going to a live event coming up shortly and soon as well. And it's great to see the impact you're doing, and I can see from the people that are following it, the people that are engaging with it, you're doing the right thing. Because if you weren't, you won't be getting the engagement, you won't be getting the following. So by making the right noise, the right people are following.
Yeah, bro, this is what we said at the very start, is that we drive this with value. Every meeting that we've had, we've been very transparent, and we keep saying that, is that this has got to come from value, because if we don't do that, then we'll just be like everybody else, trying to get money and trying to we know that will happen. We know that will come. So
it's awesome, man. That's great, man. And Kristin, so like I said, I've seen what you guys doing, and it's inspiring to see how you're trying to impact the lives across New Zealand in those areas that's so close to your heart.
And internationally, we're international. We've had people from LA, we've had a lot from Australia. So we're looking at growing this worldwide, mate. People like bloody
wildfire.
So you can be our token South African at the next one.
The token South African. I don't know how well received I'll be from the token South African.
Oh yeah, no, you will be, mate. It's quite funny, because at the very start of it, we had somebody saying, can anybody be part of that? And we just said, look, it's not exclusive. It's about if there's people that want to, from all races or whatever, that want to contribute to the growth of Māori and Pasifika, absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. But as we come to the end today, Kristin, as I always do, can you let the audience know if there's one last thing you want to drop off, some insights, and then after that, where they can get hold of you and where they can find you on social media?
Actually, no, I didn't even think about this one. Insights is just drive value. I think, you know, the time that we're in right now, you know, I think people, the more onus that you can put on the relationships, not only within your own team, but within your clients, the more sustainable the businesses you're going to get and the more that's going to grow. So just, I think value's just got to be the biggest, probably the main thing I'll leave with. To get hold of me, you know, Kristin Harper on LinkedIn, harperconsultancy.co.nz. But mainly I'm sort of playing on LinkedIn, so that's probably the easiest place for anybody to get me.
Oh, great. Thanks so much, Kristin, for coming on the show today and providing the insights and letting everyone hear about value-driven networks, mentors, and then also the Nesian Network and what you guys are trying to achieve. And to everyone else that's come on over to the video, the audio series, Wolf of Queen Street, thank you so much again for coming to support and coming to listen. And as I always say at the end, I don't make you do anything. I don't charge anything. But if there's something that's insightful to yourself or something that you can believe is a benefit to someone else, just tell them to come on over. Tell them to come and have a watch or listen and see if they can be inspired as well at the end of the day. But at the end, stay beautiful, stay powerful. Until next time, cheers.
Thank you, Lawrence. Cheers, brother.